Okay, Joe, I can hear a lot of traffic, so I'm not really sure this is going to work, but we're going to try it anyway, and then you can let me know. Okay, here we go. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural episode of Keeping It Real. I hope you have your coffee with you or whatever your favorite beverage is for the morning, and you're ready to explore some ideas with us that we have been looking at throughout the month. So in Keeping It Real, we're going to take an opportunity to look at the ideas that we talk about on Sunday mornings, and then explore them in a practical, real-life way. Actually apply the tools that we're talking about here and see if we can bring about a change in our lives. So each month at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas, we are looking at a different universal quality from 4 different points of view. It's divided by the weeks. So in the first week, I'm going to look at the quality from my point of view of my life. How do I apply this quality in my life? In the second week, I'm going to see how it shows up in my relationships. The third week, we're going to look at it about how it works in our community and how it shows up in our community. And finally, for the fourth week of each month, we're going to take a look at how we can actually use that quality to create a world that works for everyone, and not just that select few. So for the month of January, we're looking at the concept of freedom. And for this first week, we've explored what it means to be intentional about what we're here to be, to do, to feel, to have, and how that can lead to a greater sense of freedom in our lives. So on Sunday morning, I spoke about writing our intentions for ourselves for the year. And I asked you to spend a little bit of time over the last couple of days coming up with an intention statement for yourself. Today, we're going to talk about what we can actually do now with those intention statements after we've created them. So as I begin to think about the intention statements on Sunday, I asked you to think about what emotions you wanted to feel. Oftentimes we spend too much energy worrying about what we're thinking, and we miss out on the power behind what it is we are actually feeling. Emotions amplify thinking. Emotions take the thinking into the body, and we actually begin to embody the ideas through our emotions. They actually cement them within us and allow them to have a place to work within us. And so there's a power behind those emotions that sometimes is untapped. So let's take a look at your intention statements and the emotions that are in there. Are there words within that intention statement that you've written that trigger an emotion or a feeling within you? Can you feel that intention in your body as you speak it? And can you actually locate the place in your body where it actually feel it the most? If you can't yet get to the feelings behind your intentions, a good tool to use is a probing question that takes you a little bit deeper into what it is you're wanting to bring into your life for this new year. Oftentimes when we spend our time in that intellectual activity of just writing the intention, we miss out on what's back of the emotion. And so asking these probing questions can really begin to help us get clear about that. The probing question that we use most often in our classes is very simple, 2 words, and we just ask, so that? So let me give you an example here. Let's say, for instance, your intention for 2023 is about having a new job or a career this year. So let's take a look at this from the 4 questions that we asked on Sunday. I asked the question about what do you want to be? So I might have written something like, I want a new job to be doing something that I love to do. Okay. What do I want to feel? I want a new job to feel successful. What do I want to do? I want a new job that makes a difference in the world. And what do I want to have? I want a new job that allows me to have steady income. So looking at those 4 different aspects of our intention statement, and each one of these 4 questions and the corresponding statements that we wrote, we can begin to probe a little bit deeper to get a sense of what it is that is really calling to us to come through as this intention that we're setting. And when we can get to them feeling and the emotion of it, we get a little more power in it. So I want a new job doing something that I love to do, so that I look forward to getting up each morning and going to work. I want a new job so that I feel like I'm making a difference. I want a new job to feel successful so that I feel like my life has meaning and value. I want a new job so that the work I'm doing makes a difference in the world. I want a new job that allows me to have a steady income so that I can easily pay all of my bills and have money to do the things that excite me. You can continue working with these so that questions, taking it deeper and deeper and deeper. Once you get to a place where you feel like there's nothing left to say about it, then you've probably reached that as far as it's going to go. So now let's take a look at the emotions that were stirred up as we probed a little bit deeper into this intention of having a new job. For me, there was a sense of wanting to have meaning in the work that I do in the world. So ideas of purpose and passion are coming forth. There's also a sense of stability and prosperity that has come up as we probed a little bit deeper. Each one of you will have different responses to that. So take some time with your intention statement and ask yourself these probing questions. And see if you can get to a feeling that is emerging through this intention that you're setting for yourself in 2023. One other thing that I like to do with my intentions each year that I found to probably be one of the most practical and useful things that I've ever done is to see if I can take that intention and narrow it down to a single word that then becomes my word of the year. I like to refer to this as my power word. So we look at the example of the intention of having a new job. Let's see if we can narrow that down to a single word that is wanting to come through. For me, as I was asking those questions, the feeling that was coming up was really centered around me having the ability to create work that has purpose. So if this was my intention for 2023, my word of power might be creativity, it might be purpose. Something along those lines, because that's what was coming through for me. That was the emotion. So let me give you an example of last year's for me. Last year, my intention was to step forth with unapologetic confidence in all areas of my life. And my word of power was courage. As last year began, I had to consciously choose to be courageous in those more problematic situations. But as the year progressed, the courage seemed to come more naturally. It didn't take as much thought. In fact, I would often find myself surprised by the way I had moved through a difficult situation with courage. Having this one word of power and then embodying it in my actions as I moved through my life has taken it from some kind of idealized way that I think I should be to the actual way that I live. Not only that, but I see the word courage written all over the place. It just pops up all the time. I see examples of it, and the recognition of that gives me a deeper sense of what it means to be courageous every single time I see it. And what I found over the year is that having this word of power, it becomes easier for me to keep my intention fresh in my mind. So this year, my intention is to give equal attention to all areas of my life. I have a tendency to neglect certain areas, and I'm sure nobody else has that. So my word of the year for this intention of keeping equal areas of my life is balance. It is balance, and I'm just really anxious to see how balance is going to show up in my life. Oftentimes it'll show up through ways that we really want, and sometimes it shows up through ways that are kind of disturbing. So it'll be interesting to see what shows up with that. So I invite you to take the next few days to clarify your intention and see if you can distill it down to that power word for 2023. I know that we are here to do big things in this world, and I know it starts with the big things we do for ourselves. What big things are you willing to do for yourself this year? I hope you've enjoyed our first episode of Keeping It Real. Each week we will look at some of the principles and ideas that we discuss in our time together on Sundays and see how we can find a practical, real-life application of each one of these things. So join us next Thursday morning for our next episode of Keeping It Real. We're going to be looking at freedom from the idea of boundaries. And although boundaries seem to be the antithesis of freedom, they are actually the route to it. So it leads to a greater sense of freedom and peace within each one of our relationships when we set boundaries for ourselves. So have a great week, everyone. Hope to see you next Thursday morning on Keeping It Real. Bye-bye.